So we're going to spend the next few minutes sharing out some of your main takeaways from the conversations you just had. And this may look a little bit different depending on what room you're in. So if you sat with a group with multiple institutions, we can talk about a summary from that larger group. If you worked with just your own group, what we're interested in hearing is just what were the big takeaways from that conversation that was all about change, right? Where are we? Where would we like to go? So I'm going to ask for a group to go first and summarize what their conversation was about. Who would like to go first? Great. Thanks, MTSU.
Hey, so we just talked about, we are here representing different programs within our department, and our programs are different. What? Our programs are very different, but we talked about how we could support one another and maybe do some crossovers with some of our classes. And we know that when we're looking at these standards, that certainly we have work to do. We've done a lot of work. We feel like we're pretty strong, but we always feel like that we can get better at what we're doing. So we're giving this our best shot, and just want to, with that in mind, that we're going to keep getting better at what we're doing.
Great. So thinking about change for the program as a whole.
Growth mindset.
Growth mindset. Thank you. Thanks. All right. Who would like to go next?
I'm representing the Martin Lipscomb Belmont team, thanks to Mark Hogan pointing at me over there. So I think we'll just piggyback off of what you said. We really talked about how this is a great opportunity for all of us to be better and more intentional about what we're doing. And, you know, we talked about some of our challenges, and I think really our biggest challenge is consistency among, you know, in our programs, to be more intentional there, but also when we send our candidates out into schools, are they hearing the same message that we're giving? You know, so I think all of this is going to make us all more consistent, and we're all going to hear the same message.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Is Tennessee State?
Yes, Tennessee State. If I go down this list, you all may get bored, but nevertheless, some things that we really feel important is to change some of the courses that we're requiring our students to take so that they can now get more literacy, and as a way to look at the courses that are in our pre-block and our residency program, and how we're going to integrate literacy into each one of those courses, because we really want them to be more prepared when they go into their classrooms, or even doing their field experiences, be more prepared with literacy. So those are things we're going to do immediately.
And you know what I've heard, listening to your group throughout the day too, I think is resonating with other groups, that you've been primed for changes for a long time, and now you're seeing opportunity with this in relation to other things to really drive these changes forward. Yeah. Thank you.
We're very comfortable with the progression of courses that we currently have. We're also really comfortable with the relationships that we have with our content faculty. So those are two really positives that we have already in place. So we're not having to start from scratch or try to build relationships with them. I think it's sometimes very difficult and time consuming. However, with that said, just the logistical process involved in sitting down and doing the alignment, time is our greatest enemy. We're a small program, and we have lots of conversations, but we were saying earlier, they're very informal sometimes. We don't think about strategically, intentionally carving out time to sit down and work on a project. So that's going to be, I think, our greatest hurdle, is just finding time to bring everyone together to sit down. We also have adjuncts. A larger number of adjuncts right now, currently, than we've ever had, making sure those folks are involved, because we can't move forward without everyone everyone being involved. We're also really blessed that we have the relationships with our partners that we have. They're very involved in the program. We have great field and clinical placements. But again, making sure those folks remain high quality, and they're only going to be able to do that if they're involved in this process. So finding the time to just do that, and for how much time that takes.
Yeah, all means all, right? All means all. And I think that's a great point that you're making, that the foundations are there. You've been working on those partnerships and those relationships for a long time. However, there's still more work to be doing as you're moving forward. Thank you.
Like most everyone, we also believe that in our program, many of these standards are being met in the courses that we already teach, but it is an opportunity. The suggestion that you divide each of the standards up and put them around, we've done this many times. We've done it with NTASC, ACEI, every standard that you can imagine. We're going around the room making large matrices of connections with the team model. So just to continue doing those things and knowing that we can't continue to add, you just can't layer it on. You have to find ways to make it work together and speak one to the other. So it's kind of exciting when I go to EdTPA conferences, when we think about the new ways we could do things. It's just opportunity to make it better, and especially I think somebody said at the department, always thinking about the end. So what's good for students? It's an exciting time.
I love how you use the word exciting and opportunity, and thinking about how we can be integrating throughout the programs, and also that we're recognizing some of the things that we're already doing well. So thank you.
Well, we met with the Trevecca group as well, so I would also like to hand this off to them after I finish. But basically, we have been working with standards, but not to the degree that we need to make the changes for these literacy standards. We are also trying to get our EdTPA standards and process going. So we feel that as we work through this will help us to do so. But we already have a plan to meet and start doing some cross-planning together and collaboration. So I'm going to hand it to Trevecca.
One thing that we did talk about was actually modeling the integration of the subject areas as professors. We want them to observe that when they're in the schools, with the schools that we partner with, but to be able to model that within our own program would be a very good lesson.
Sounds like you all are finding very concrete next steps already, which is wonderful, and we'll continue thinking on those tomorrow.
That kind of sets up beautifully what we were talking about in terms of thinking how we'd integrate. We hadn't thought about specifically about how we model it, but really, like on some of the work that we're going to do tomorrow and looking at our syllabi, not just looking at any literacy related syllabi, but where can we bring this work into the other syllabi, and where can we bring the other syllabi into the literacy?
Yeah, connections across those courses.
We are from Tennessee Tech University, and we had a good program to start with, but we are excited also about this opportunity to make some changes, maybe to combine some classes, give a few more hours to our literacy block to really emphasize that, work with our colleagues in content to be able to integrate literacy standards there, and we're really excited about the possibilities.
It's a good reminder that we're all working within structures or have parameters to be considering.
I just want to point out that the draft of the proposal template is in your packet. We would love for you to even take a look at that tonight. Tomorrow, we've got a significant amount of time that you are going to have to work with your colleagues. And when we use the term work, we really hope that you can begin to dig into specific things. So make sure you bring your syllabi, and that you're thinking about how you might begin to, A, redesign your programs, and it sounds like some of you had some great starting conversations about that today, and B, what things might you need to add to your programs To do that, so that's one homework assignment. It's not a long document, so shouldn't take you too long to get yourself familiar with it. The second thing is, Annie asked earlier today, how familiar are you with those EPP literacy standards? I'm going to challenge you. We want to ask that question tomorrow again. I'm going to challenge you. I want everybody to be able to say at least a 3. And if you were already at a 3, then a 4 or 5 tomorrow. Make sure that you are beginning to really deeply understand those standards. Think about that teaching literacy in Tennessee document alongside those standards. Because one thing that we've got to elevate is that we aren't just, taking part of the standards and making sure we're ticking off the box somewhere, but that actually comes together in a teacher's repertoire of being able to plan that cohesive unit. I'll just go ahead and tell you, that was one of the pieces of feedback we got, that we're missing a question on the proposal that elevates it to that place. So we'll have some more conversation about that tomorrow. So make sure that you take a little bit of time tonight, and I think we're getting you out of here early today, so maybe we can ask you to spend that time doing those couple of things. Anything else, Annie?
No, but just as a reminder, that proposal begins the word introduction at the top, just so you know what you're looking at. And I believe it's on the left side of your folder. So thank you for that. Other than that, thank you again for your active engagement. Really exciting vibe in the room, and we're really looking forward to continuing these conversations tomorrow. We'll see you then.